The Intermediate Life Cycle courses. Continual Service Improvement. Lesson 13. Measuring and Reporting Frameworks and the Deming Cycle. Welcome to Lesson 13. In this lesson, we're going to cover measuring and reporting frameworks, including balanced scorecards and SWOT analysis, and the Deming Cycle. The information in this lesson relates to the syllabus section CSI 04. Remember, it's strongly recommended that you carry out further reading in the Continual Service Improvement Core volume as part of your exam preparation. You can use the syllabus document to identify the appropriate areas for self-study. We're going to start this lesson by looking at measuring and reporting frameworks. Organizations use many techniques to measure the effectiveness and efficiency of IT and IT services. Often this is a combination of methods rather than just one individual technique. Continual service improvement is responsible for making sure that IT provides the service that the business needs, within any cost constraints. Continual service improvement ensures that any improvement actions are on course, and takes corrective action if they are not. Measurement of progress is vital, but is not the end product. It is a means to an end. Consider your organization for a moment. How many people gather measurements and produce reports within your organization? How many of these reports are actually used? Producing reports should be an indicator of progress and success, not a goal in itself. Okay, we're going to take a look at the balanced scorecard. You may have already used this in your career, as many organizations have implemented it as part of their reporting structure. A balanced scorecard enables a strategy to be broken down into key performance indicators. Performance against key performance indicators is used to demonstrate how well the strategy is being achieved. The balanced scorecard has 4 major areas, each of which has a smaller number of key performance indicators. The same 4 areas are considered at different levels of detail throughout the organization. The balanced scorecard technique was developed by Kaplan and Norton in the mid-1990s and involves the definition and implementation of a measurement framework covering 4 different perspectives: customer, internal business, learning and growth, and financial. The 4 balanced scorecard perspectives are linked and give a balanced view to support strategic activities and objectives. This prevents too much focus on one area, such as the financial area. A balanced scorecard can be used to measure overall IT performance. This balanced scorecard view is complementary to ITIL. It links to IT in the ways you can see here. Client perspective, showing IT as a service provider, primarily documented in service level agreements. Internal processes, operational excellence using good practice IT processes and successful delivery of IT projects. Learning and growth. This involves business productivity, flexibility of IT, investments in software, and professional learning and development. And financial. Alignment of IT with business objectives, managing costs, managing risks, and delivering value. IT financial management is used to allocate costs and calculate return on investment. The need for a balanced scorecard emerged out of a growing recognition that financial measures alone were insufficient to manage the modern organization. Much of the emphasis in today's work environment is centered on achieving financial goals, achieving process innovations, training workers, and creating and maintaining new kinds of relationships with customers. The balanced scorecard is not simply a measurement system. It is also a management system. It enables organizations to clarify their vision, mission, goals, objectives, and strategies and translate them into action. When fully deployed, it provides feedback around both the internal business processes and external outcomes to continually improve strategic performance and results. The balanced scorecard is also an aid to organizational performance management. It is a common method of tracking metrics and performing trend analysis. It provides focus, not only on financial targets, but also on the internal processes, customers, and learning and growth issues. A balance should be found between these four perspectives. In respect to IT, the four perspectives are focused around the following questions. Customers. What do customers expect of IT provision? Internal processes. Where must IT be strong to support services? Learning and growth. How does IT guarantee that the business will keep generating added value in the future? Financial. What is the cost of IT? The balanced scorecard needs to be cascaded through an organization. Many organizations are structured around strategic business units, each of which will focus on a specific group of products or services offered by the business. The structure of IT may match the strategic business unit organization, or IT may offer services to the strategic business units from a common shared services IT organization. It is possible to create a hybrid IT structure by putting the central infrastructure group in the shared services unit and putting the business solutions or application development groups in the strategic business unit itself. This can, however, result in confusion and blame when something goes wrong. Implementing the balanced scorecard at the strategic business unit level can help to overcome this and keep the focus on quality of IT service. You can see an example of an IT balanced scorecard on screen here. Once it has been defined at the strategic business unit level, it can be cascaded down through the organization. For each strategic business level measure and related target, the business units can define additional measures and targets that support the strategic goal and target. Action plans and resource allocation decisions can be made based on how they will contribute to the strategic balanced scorecard. It is important to link reward systems to the balanced scorecard objectives. The balanced scorecard is not an exclusively IT concept. It may be used in other departments, even at board level. When implementing the balanced scorecard, we need to start simple. We will start with a few goals and metrics from each perspective, which can then be added to as we mature. The choices around what to include can be difficult and time-consuming, and politics and personalities need to be managed. Implementation is not the most difficult part of using the balanced scorecard. Consolidation is. Consultants are often employed to assist in the introduction of the balanced scorecard. We need to make sure we keep measuring once they are gone. It's easy to fall back on prior measuring techniques or not measure at all. The last area we need to consider for the balanced scorecard is its relationship to measurement-based management. The balanced scorecard approach focuses on the areas you can see here: customer-defined quality, continual improvement, employee empowerment, and measurement-based management and feedback. The balanced scorecard incorporates feedback around internal business process outputs, but also adds a feedback loop around the outcomes of business strategies. If we are pursuing a strategy, for example, to increase our customer base, the scorecard provides feedback on whether we are successful. The business process outputs are measured by whether we are contacting new customers and winning business, and the overall strategic outcome is shown in the growth we experience. In effect, this creates a double-loop feedback process in the balanced scorecard. Feedback is used to identify gaps and drive improvement. The metrics we used must be developed in line with the priorities in our strategic plan. This provides the key business drivers and criteria for metrics that management want to see. Services and processes can then be designed to collect information relevant to these metrics, allowing strategic management to examine the outcomes of various measured services, processes, and strategies. The results will guide the company and provide ongoing feedback. Metrics provide value by giving a factual base for defining strategic feedback, to show the present status of the organization from many perspectives for decision makers. For example, we may need to show the financial or customer or growth perspective. Diagnostic feedback, into various services and processes to guide improvements on a continual basis. For example, if feedback shows that change management communication is not meeting customer requirements, we can address this. Trends in performance, over time as the metrics are tracked. Feedback around the measurement methods themselves, and which metrics should be tracked. And quantitative inputs for forecasting methods and models for decision support systems. Okay, we're going to move on now and look at SWOT analysis, a measure of our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You can see the definitions here. Strengths are internal attributes of the organization that are helpful to the achievement of an objective. Weaknesses are internal attributes of the organization that are harmful to the achievement of the objective. Opportunities are external conditions that are helpful to the achievement of the objective. And threats are external conditions that are harmful to the achievement of the objective. The SWOT analysis technique involves the review and analysis of the 4 specific areas of an organization. SWOT analysis should drive the actions you can see here. Develop, exploit, and capitalize on the organization's strengths. Reduce, minimize, or remove weaknesses. Take maximum advantage of opportunities. And manage, mitigate, and eliminate threats. SWOT analyses can be performed quickly and can be used to target a specific area rather than looking at the entire enterprise. SWOT is a strategic planning tool that can be used for any project, business venture, or situation requiring a decision. Getting a view of internal strengths and weaknesses and external opportunities and threats provides a quick overview of our strategic situation. So, how do we go about using SWOT? Firstly, we need to define the desired end state or objective. This definition must be explicit and approved by all participants in the process. Then, the analysis is carried out, identifying the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to this desired end state. To ensure a high chance of success, it is a good idea to ensure that the objective follows the SMART principle: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. The results of the analysis can be used as inputs to the creative generation of possible strategies. This is done by asking and answering the following 4 questions, as many times as necessary. How can we use each strength? How can we stop each weakness? How can we exploit each opportunity? And how can we defend against each threat? Okay, time for an exercise. This exercise will test your understanding of assessments. Plan to spend 30 minutes on this exercise, and don't forget to check your study guide for a suggested solution. So here's the question. Carry out a SWOT analysis for a generic service, or alternatively, you can use one of the services you offer. List some possible generic strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. For example, lack of finance for changes is a possible weakness, and the cost of regulatory compliance could be a threat. Good luck! SWOT analysis can be done at various levels: individual, departmental, divisional, or corporate. Lower hierarchical levels should be consolidated before moving up to the next level. SWOT can be carried out for a service or a process. There are some common errors made during SWOT. Firstly, if you do not correctly identify the end state, this will result in wasted resources and failure of the technique. Consider aligning the SWOT analysis with the organization's vision, mission, goals, and objectives to ensure success. Other mistakes to avoid are conducting a SWOT analysis before defining and agreeing any desired end state at all. Another common error is when external opportunities are confused with internal strengths. These need to be kept separate during analysis. We also need to make sure we do not confuse opportunities with possible strategies. It may also be useful to keep in mind that SWOT is a description of conditions, while possible strategies define actions. We're going to move on now and look at the Deming cycle in detail. We introduced this in Lesson 4. We're going to go through Deming in more detail now and look at it from 2 perspectives. Firstly, implementing continual service improvement. Secondly, improving services and service management processes. Let's start with implementing continual service improvement. You can see the Deming cycle adapted for continual service improvement on this screen. We're going to walk through the high-level implementation activities here, but you'll find a much more detailed list in the study guide for this lesson. When we're implementing continual service improvement, the plan part of Deming covers how we plan for continual service improvement. This needs to include clear goals, objectives, and requirements for continual service improvement. Process activities, tools, and management roles and responsibilities also need to be established at this point. The actual implementation of continual service improvement falls within the do step of Deming. Here, we'll allocate funding and budgets, and document and allocate the roles and responsibilities at all levels. Communication and training around the new continual service improvement policies needs to take place, and we need to make sure we're fully integrated with the rest of the life cycle. Check will then cover monitoring, measurement, and review of continual service improvement activities. Our aim here is to identify any improvement opportunities by reporting against plans, carrying out document reviews, and conducting process assessment and audits. We mustn't forget that continual service improvement itself should be continually improved. Finally, we will act. This is where we implement any continual service improvement enhancements, such as updated policies, procedures, roles, and responsibilities. Okay, now we're going to look at the Deming cycle for improving services and service management processes. At the plan stage, this is the planning for improvement initiatives. Here, the goals and measures for success are established. A gap analysis is performed, and action steps to close the gap are defined. Finally, measures to ensure the gap was closed are established and implemented. Next, the do stage, implementation of the improvement initiative. Here, a project is developed and implemented to close the identified gaps. Improvements to service management processes are implemented and established to ensure the process still runs smoothly. At the check stage, the activities are monitoring, measuring, and reviewing the services and service management processes. Here, the implemented improvements are compared to the measures of success established in the plan phase. The comparison determines if a gap still exists between the improvement objectives and the operational process state. All gaps do not require closure. If the gap is considered tolerable, it may remain. The output of this stage is recommendations for improvement. Finally, at the act stage, we'll focus on continual service and process improvement. At this stage, the implementation of ongoing service and service management process improvements takes place. A decision may be made to keep things as they are, close the gap, or add resources if necessary. Decisions made at this stage are the input for the next round of the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, closing the loop by providing an input to plan. As we have seen, the Deming cycle is a useful technique to give structure to continual service improvement, applicable to implementing continual service improvement itself. It can also be used for implementing improvement opportunities identified by continual service improvement. This approach supports a succession or series of small, planned, incremental improvements. These will not stress the infrastructure as much as larger, more disruptive changes, and will build up to provide noticeable improvements. You've completed Lesson 13, Measurement and Reporting Frameworks and the Deming Cycle. In this lesson, we've studied measuring and reporting frameworks, including balanced scorecards and SWOT analysis, and the Deming Cycle. Don't forget to download your study guide before you move on. Coming up in Lesson 14, we'll study supporting methods and techniques from across the life cycle. This lesson looks at how other processes from all areas of the service life cycle can support continual service improvement.